You might have asked yourself, what the fuck is Rocket League? Well, sit down, cause I'm going to explain every single bit of the game to you. The premature ejaculation, or the short explanation if you will, is that the game is essentially soccer or football. So instead of hitting a wife, you're hitting a ball. However, with this in mind, this is nothing like the blood-sucking franchise called FIFA, or any type of racing game. For some reason people think this is a race game? Question mark? See, there are a few noteworthy differences as such. You're a Teenage Mutant Ninja vehicle with parkour skills and a rocket strapped to it ready to peg SpaceX into a new fetish category on Pornhub. Oh, and you can play Terrorist Simulator by bombing your enemies. And there are a few different ways to partake in this form of domestic abuse. We have 1v1. This is where you get to see if you still have the rage from Call of Duty within you, and if you do, you might break a controller or your keyboard. Or perhaps your wife's face, as we mentioned before. This is not where you end up if you want to have a nice experience with the game, but you know some people have a fetish for harming themselves, have no friends, or just poor communication skills. 1v1 is not highly recommended for new players, or anyone. 2v2, it takes 2 to tango, but some people don't have a +1, so you get a random person from somewhere in the world for free. Much like the Indian way of getting married. Together you will try to conquer the everlasting battle of 5 minutes, which we know can be a very long time for some men out there. Together you will likely fail and blame the other person because you would never do anything wrong, right? Which sums up every marriage counseling session ever. 3v3, you're now in an open relationship. Perhaps you have a more permanent partner, but you come home to a weird stranger in the house every time you decide to play. And for some reason he's fucking your wife and you're accepting it. Slowly but surely you've turned yourself into a cuck and you've learned that you actually enjoy it. A little bit. 4v4. Basically just a gangbang because you and your friends found nothing better to do at the time. It's just pure wonderful chaos. No sane person actually plays this shit alone. And I might be writing too many sexual jokes. Who knows? There are another these game modes, but we don't talk about those yet. And that about sums up the game's core mechanics. This is essentially what you will be doing for hours, upon hours, upon hours. The very basics of the game is a lot of fun and I recommend giving it a try, especially now that it is free to play with cross-platform integration. It is when you start to take the game serious and want to become better you get to beat the fucknugget players of Rocket League, which makes the game less enjoyable. Which we will now dive more into. Have you ever wondered to yourself, where did little Timmy from special ed class actually end up in life? Like, where did the little crayon fucker actually go? Yeah, I finally found the answer for this. He's playing fucking Rocket League. You see, for most things in life, shit takes time. And this is the case for online matches in video games as well. Maybe it takes half an hour, or an hour. We'll use some examples. In CSGO, you get a message repeatedly saying that the game can take up to 90 minutes of playtime. In League of Legends, it can be between 20 to 45 minutes. In Valorant, it can take 40 minutes, and so on it goes. As you can see on the graph, I didn't actually make one. While in Rocket League there's an overtime option, but most of the time the game will only last 5 minutes. However, a lot of people like to forfeit after 1 minute and 30 seconds, and that's only because they added a time limit before you can forfeit. It used to be much worse. People would literally give up after 10 seconds.
What? What the fuck?
And I think this is one of the reasons the game can be so frustrating. Because people give up quicker than some people consider kicking the chair. Like the match is literally 5 minutes, but people want to give up right away if the opponent scores 1 goal and is in the lead. Even though it can take 3 seconds to score another goal and you're on equal footing again. People just choose to put on horse blinders and ignore the fact that you can still win very easily. And this happens again and again and again. This game, like any other online game, has ranked game modes. This is where you get to earn points for every game you win, and you lose points for every game you decide to act French and surrender or straight up just lose. With these points, you're put into matches with other players with similar points. When I think about it, it sounds a lot like being a citizen in China. And I honestly believe that staying in the lower ranks is where you will have the most amount of fun. Let me explain each rank and you might understand my viewpoint. In most video games, the higher up you go, the skill mechanics and the understanding of the game goes higher, but so does the team play with communication, etc. as well. However, in Rocket League this is not really the case. The higher up you go, the more retarded your teammate becomes. Not in the sense that they can't hit the ball, but they can't play as a team. Let me explain further. You have a few ranks in the game, and those are as follows. Bronze. It's like being a virgin. You're new to the game and everything is quirky and fun. You're learning what buttons to push, what speed to be moving in, and you're having a shit ton of chemicals partying inside you when you finally manage to get the ball in and get that beautiful gold explosion. Silver. You're a little bit more into the game now. You think you know what you're doing, but you're still a huge disappointment every time you enter a match. Most people will tell you that you just need more experience, but they won't actually bother teaching you anything. Much like my uncle, who just preferred to hold my head instead of telling me what to do. Gold. Congrats, you finally know how to score a goal or two without parental supervision or explicit guidance from your caretaker. But you're still scared shitless when someone pulls a Jeff Bezos and flies their obnoxiously expensive Minimobile into space, so you forfeit and quit most of the time. You're still pretty quick to give up on life, but I promise you everything will be okay one day. Either when you quit this godforsaken game or rank up to Platinum. You're now basically Elon Musk. You'll launch anything into space. You'll chase the ball into the air at any given time of the day because you have learned how to fly, like beautiful clips from 9/11. You should probably follow the quote, just because you can doesn't mean you should, which will bring you to Diamond. You finally learn that flying isn't always great, especially when your teammate is Turkish. You have understood that you might tickle his family tree a little bit too much if you're not careful. You know what to do in the game, but you're just not quite there yet. You're sitting on the edge considering the leap of faith into the autism spectrum you so dearly have avoided, but crave it all so much, which will bring you into the abyss we call Champion. You think you're hot shit now. You know what you're doing in your own little sandbox, but no one else gets to help you build the sandcastle and participate. You have the belief that your teammate is utter shit and you have to carry the group to victory, just like you tried to do with the assignments in high school but ended up sucking off the teacher after class instead. You're seen as just a little crack monkey chasing after the ball, fucking it up for everyone, and no one likes having you on the team, but it can never be the case that you yourself might be the problem, so you blame everyone else. Eventually you learn about rotation and might find yourself in Grand Champion. You're essentially a gambling addict at this point. Either you're going to have an autistic crack monkey chasing the ball, or someone with communication skills to the point that they understand that rotation is actually the key to winning in this game. Every time you click play, you're putting it all on black and hope for the best. It's 50-50 whether or not you're going to have fun this round, and you love it. You're addicted to the game, and the hours played is racking up quicker than the sexual harassment claims at Activision Blizzard. Supersonic Legend. If you're not a pro and literally just cum money at this point, you should probably consider which one is the best option, the Bleach or the Noose. Because if you're at this rank and don't earn money playing the game, you have way too much time on your hands or live on welfare. Personally, I'm a fan of Bleach, both for my asshole and for my drinks. Now that you've seen the journey that is ahead of you, you might be considering not playing the game at all. But I still want to encourage you, just like heroin, to at least try it once. You see, you can stay a filthy casual and live happily ever after with the occasional invasion of a Viking smurf raping and pillaging your matches, or you can become a little bit more kinky and venture into the extra modes. I will refrain from making a transgender joke here. Let's have a look at each one. They're all ranked as before, but it's separate from the hellhole we talked about earlier, so not everyone takes it as seriously. Hoops. The title itself should explain it, but we'll go further into it. You're basically playing basketball, but you don't have to be in Paris in order to participate. The hoops are rather large, the court is smaller than the usual map, and being able to fly is not essential, but highly recommended. It is a bit more relaxed environment, and people are generally a little bit more friendly because no one has any expectations from you, just like your parents. Snow Day. This is where men come to get their maple syrup sucked out of their soul while spamming sorry, because this is essentially the game mode where you become Canadian and play hockey. The ball is replaced by puck, and everything you've learned gets thrown out the window because it's heavy as fuck and you're better off driving the thing up the wall and hope for the best. I've never actually cared enough to figure out a strategy for the game mode because everyone runs around like headless chickens and I don't really touch this shit unless I crave some cock and ball torture and don't feel like slamming my nuts in the door. But that's just me. Drop shot. You know how everything is normal and fairly simple in regular football? Well, forget all that shit because it doesn't matter anymore. What are you trying to do? Hit the floor. Why are you doing that? Because that's the goal, literally. You smash a hole open and try to stick the ball in there, and if it doesn't work, you have to make a bigger one. And for some reason, this is super fucking difficult for people to understand. You'll be dealing with the most dense morons you'll ever meet your entire life. You know when you're a kid and you have this little puzzle of putting a square in a square and a circle in a circle? Well, it's not even the case of someone trying to smash the triangle into a square. No, they simply eat the toy, or shove it up their ass. They just decide they want new rules. Everyone will be shooting the ball upwards when it should be going downwards. If you ever want to play 1v5 and lose your fucking mind, this is the game mode for you. Rumble. I'm not even sure if Rumble is worth explaining. It might be better to just show you, but we'll give it a shot. You're playing 3v3, but with a mixture of power-ups. What's in this crackpot of power-ups, you may ask? Well, here you go. The 300, Speed, the movie, Frozone, Where's My Super Suit, Mission Impossible, Chris Brown, Womanizer, Sucky on a Stick, Wife Beater, The Perfect Drink, Gender Swapper, and House Flipper. Truly, there are no words to describe it. It's more of a either you love it or you hate it type of game mode. Now, if none of these are casual enough for you, fear not. There are a couple more options. We have single player. This is tournaments against boss if you prefer to interact with no one else but our fellow AI soon-to-be Overlord friends. Training. If you would like to be completely alone with your ball, I would recommend just masturbating at this point, but hey, you do you. Customization. What's better than using your monthly paycheck on virtual items in a video game? Change your car, decal, paint finish with different colors and materials, wheels, boosts, toppers, antennas, goal explosions, boost trails, engine audio, avatar border, banner, and player anthem. And fair enough, if you don't have any fancy items to do so, there's an ever-expanding item shop, rocket pass, bundles, and player trading with all the beautiful Indian scammers we all know and love with every transactional interaction in this world. And at last, we have workshop maps. These are player-created maps available on PC and demand a little bit more brainpower to be able to play. There are maps in varying sizes, game modes, and quality. Might be worth looking into if you haven't already. Now that you know everything there is to ever know about this game, except for tournaments and these events, because if we don't talk about that, you're ready to make a decision if you're going to put your precious, oh so precious hours into playing this halfway-ish fun, might play something else beloved game. In all seriousness, it is a unique game, and this is my coping mechanism to tell myself that it's okay, I'll put 2000 hours into the void, and it is actually enjoyable to play. It can be incredibly fun both alone and with friends. It's fun to fuck around, and it's a super rewarding feeling when you finally beat your opponent after a 4-minute edging session you got going on in overtime. If I were to go back in time and start all over again, I would probably stick to playing it more casually, because when I look back I had more fun when I was shit. I didn't give Rocket League a shot in the beginning because I thought it would be like FIFA. I can promise you it's nothing like that dumpster fire. So feel free to give it a go.